The Paper Mario series is one I hold very dearly to my heart, and I honestly don't talk about it enough. So, let's talk about it. I'm going to give you a detailed rundown on my history and experiences with this franchise, and it's four, or I guess technically five, installments, plus something extra. Let's not waste any time. This is going to be a long story. As was the case for most fans, my love for Paper Mario dates back to the original N64 title. Back in those days, I was a Mario nut before I even fully understood what that meant. If the game had Mario in the title, I was dying to play it. Mario 64, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Tennis, you get the idea. So it goes without saying that Paper Mario was yet another fond memory in the making when I first rented it from Blockbuster all those years ago. Ah yes, Blockbuster. Remember when they were still around? Man, I feel old. Paper Mario was such a good game. The storybook art style was unique, the writing, settings, and characters were all timeless, the gameplay mechanics were nearly perfect, and even though I've completed the game from beginning to end more times than I could ever remember, it never seems to get old. Come to think of it, Paper Mario was the first RPG I ever played. Final Fantasy and Super Mario RPG were just before my time, and keep in mind that even though I was a huge fan of the Pokemon anime growing up, I didn't actually start playing the games until Fire Red and Leaf Green. I was surprised at how easily I was able to jump right into Paper Mario even though I had never played an RPG before. That's sort of a testament to how accessible of a game it was back then, and still is today. It was still good old Mario through and through, but I really got a kick out of having to approach my Goomba stomping more strategically, and engaging in bits of exposition in between all the running and jumping across the Mushroom World. All the familiar faces I'd come to recognize were in attendance. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, Bowser, Yoshi, etc. But the Mushroom Kingdom had expanded and become so much more diverse and imaginative than I had remembered it. The stakes were higher than just saving Peach, but now it was about saving the whole world from Bowser's reign of terror. Mario could do so much more than just jump, and with the brilliant item, badge, and partner systems, players could tune Mario to their particular liking and approach the game any way they wanted to. There was no right or wrong way to play Paper Mario. While the original Paper Mario isn't my absolute favorite, it's honestly just too difficult for me to find anything I really dislike about it. If anything, it overall just feels slightly primitive in comparison to what came soon after, and that's about it. If you've never played any of the Paper Mario games before, the first game is an excellent place to start. It still holds up well by today's standards, and you can find it up for download on the Wii U eShop. I also feel that Paper Mario works as a standalone experience. If you were to only play one game in this entire franchise, I think the original is one of the best options available to you. To put it quite simply and in full embrace of the shamelessly biased fanboy within me, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is one of the best games I've ever played. It was more than just a graphical upgrade over its predecessor. It retained everything that made the first game so great. It had the turn-based battles, the badges, the items, and the partners, and it expanded upon each of them, while adding even more new content to love. There was so much more to see and do that it's impossible to have discovered absolutely everything on your first blind playthrough, as long as you're not cheating and using a walkthrough. Which you shouldn't. You owe it to yourself to play this game the way it was meant to be played. The story, while still generally the same in execution, was filled with so much more history, charm, humor, emotion, and fun. The universe had grown monumentally bigger from what the original game established. We weren't in Toad Town anymore, that's for sure. Instead, Thousand Year Door drops players in a completely new world. There were new sights to behold, new species to discover, friends to make, and enemies to overcome. I love how Mario wasn't a celebrity in this backwater town. Nobody had ever even heard of him. It was a fresh new start for everyone. But if you had played even a small chunk of the first Paper Mario, you could slip right into Thousand Year Door without any trouble because that's how faithful this game is as a sequel. So much of the formula is still exactly the same as you'll remember it, and the changes that are present are for the better, such as the stage mechanics adding some necessary and welcome spice to the turn-based battles. For anyone out there who has played Thousand Year Door and is ready to call me out on its immediate faults, yes, the backtracking is atrocious. It's really fucking awful. It's so bad that you might want to put the game down for a month and be hesitant to pick it back up again. But the backtracking segments are few and far between in what is still overall a very excellent game. Chapter 4 and the first half of Chapter 7 are probably the biggest backtracking offenders, but that's 1.5 chapters out of the entire game, and even those chapters still have enjoyable and memorable elements to them. Other complaints I've heard about Thousand Year Door include the horrifically long, unskippable cutscenes before and during the final boss, and I will agree, those are pace-breaking and annoying. Then there's also the complaint that people don't like the setting as much as the Mushroom Kingdom in the first game, or that the music in the original was better. But that stuff is completely subjective. Nobody is wrong for preferring any of that between the original Paper Mario or this one. I will admit that this game is not absolutely perfect, but I believe the pros outweigh the cons so very, very much. Super Mario 64 was where my love for games began, and Super Smash Bros. Continues to define why I love gaming so much. But Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is everything I've ever wanted from the Mario series. It has good platforming, it has a memorable universe to explore. Hell, it has an actual story beyond just saving Princess Peach, and a damn good one at that. I get that that's because it's an RPG, but this game introduced so many memorable characters and locations to the Mario lore as a whole that have sadly never been seen again after this game. It saddens me that we've never seen any sign of iconic places like Rogueport or the Glitz Pit again, that we've never found X-Nauts among the crowds and the audience of Mario sports titles, or that any of the partners have never even been referenced again despite how memorable they are in any of the future Paper Mario games. But we'll move on to those in a minute. All I'm trying to say is that there is a reason this game is so expensive on Amazon. There is a reason why people like Ted from Brain Scratch Commentaries always seem to find a way to bring this game up in every single conversation that is even remotely related to gaming. There is a reason that so many Paper Mario fans have been dissatisfied with every game after this one. It really is that good. As a sequel, Thousand Year Door treats its older sibling title with the utmost respect. It embraces all the finer points of the original Paper Mario for the sake of player familiarity, and at the same time, it reimagines them in a way that makes them feel fresh and interesting again for the series veterans, all for the sake of fulfilling its role as a sequel. It set the bar for how Paper Mario games should be done, and even if the titles that came after this actually tried to outdo Thousand Year Door, spoiler alert, they didn't, I think they still would have had a pretty tough time replicating this game's success. You can disagree, you can give me a laundry list of reasons why Thousand Year Door is not a good game, you can call me biased or blinded by nostalgia, do as you will, but you will not change how much I love this game. It has a very, very special place in my heart, and it saddens me to no end that Nintendo tries so hard to pretend this game, or anything else from the GameCube era for that matter, never existed. I would kill for this game to be remade in HD, ported to the 3DS, or just put up on the Wii U eShop in its original format for download. Anything! Throw me a bone here, Nintendo! What more can I say? For me, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door comes pretty damn close to gaming perfection. Also, it has playable Bowser, and he's off doing his own awesome thing, and you guys know how much I want a Bowser game like that, so this is just yet another reason to love this game. Next, we move on to the third game, and the game that completely ruined the Paper Mario series forever. Nah, it wasn't that bad. Let's get something straight here. In my eyes, Super Paper Mario is not a bad game. In fact, the game that would follow this one makes Super Paper Mario look amazing by comparison. Super Paper Mario doesn't do anything flat out offensive. I think the reason people are so divided on this game, myself included, is because Super Paper Mario is so different from the previous Paper Mario games. It tried to take the series in a completely different direction by experimenting with bold new gameplay changes. It's not so much that those changes were bad, it's just that this wasn't what the fans wanted, nor was it what they were expecting from Paper Mario at the time. If you're a fan of the first two games, especially for their turn-based battles and rich RPG elements, and you then proceed to play Super Paper Mario expecting more of the same, you're in for a big surprise. Super Paper Mario is barely an RPG at all. Instead, the game is more of a 2D Mario platformer that predates New Super Mario Bros. Wii by about 2 years. Instead of engaging in turn-based battles, you can just jump on enemies to kill them, just like the traditional games. It's really that simple. You're just trying to get from point A to point B for the sake of advancing the story, and yes, there still is one despite the gameplay overhaul. It differs from a traditional Mario side-scroller in that you won't die in one hit from an enemy and have to restart the entire level. The heart point system returns from the previous games, and you can use items to replenish them at any time. If you do happen to run out of HP, the worst thing that happens is that you'll be kicked back to the last save point. Furthermore, as you defeat enemies, you'll earn experience, and as you level up, your attack power will get stronger and you'll become more resistant to enemy attacks. And that's about all that's left from the old Paper Mario formula. There are no badges or flower points, no star spirits, crystal stars, or any new sort of star magic attack thing. Leveling up is about as much of an RPG as this game ever gets. Although the game is in fact a 2D side-scroller, Mario obtains an ability in this game to flip the entire screen's perspective to 3D. This is useful for literally walking around giant obstacles to progress or solve puzzles. The kicker though, is that you have a time limit when you use this ability, and if you use it too long, Mario will begin to gradually take damage. After all, this is a 2D Mario platformer. Who wants to deal with that pesky third dimension, am I right? I mean, it's not like any of the previous Paper Mario games had a 3D environment. Oh, wait! When I really sit down and think about it, my biggest problem with Super Paper Mario is how empty and lifeless these worlds are. It's a shame because the art style is incredibly unique, and if these diverse locations had been developed into full 3D environments like the past two Paper Mario games, I probably would have liked this game a lot more than I actually do. But no. Instead, all I can do is go left and right, up and down, and if I ever want to explore outside this little box even just a little bit, it's only allowed as long as I'm kept on a tight fucking leash and punished for longing for that precious third dimension that we apparently took for granted. Remember the memorable and interesting party members from the first two games who helped you out in battle as well as in the field with their special abilities? Well, they're gone. In their place now are the Pixels, who lack any sort of real personality, or much dialogue for that matter, to the point where I forget they're even there half the time. Previously key abilities such as Mario's hammer, throwing a bomb, retrieving objects over a set distance, among others, which used to belong to Mario himself and his colorful cast of party members, are instead now relegated to these individual pixels, which can only be used one at a time. It's nice that these abilities are still technically here, and looking back, I think that really went a long way to still kind of make this feel like a Paper Mario game, even though that's to a much lesser extent than its predecessors. Peach and Bowser return and are once again playable like in Thousand Year Door, although they join Mario's party this time around, like in Super Mario RPG, so you can swap Mario out and play as them at any time to make use of their special abilities to float over long distances, block incoming enemy attacks, and breathe fire respectively. Luigi is also playable, a first for the series, and he plays a much larger role in the story than you might expect. Speaking of which, the story is arguably the best thing about this game. The emotional backstory between the main villain and a certain other character has gone on to leave such a long-lasting impression that many fans will call this one of the darkest and deepest stories that Mario has ever told. I personally thought it was pretty good, but that's about it. I wasn't too nuts about it. It had a lot of funny moments though. The Peach and Francis dating simulator scene is one of the funniest moments in all of gaming. But the overall plot just didn't leave as much of a lasting impression on me for some reason. I don't hate Super Paper Mario. It tried something new with the Paper Mario series, and the changes it made weren't terrible. I just felt that the environments were bland and devoid of personality, and I missed the RPG elements and the iconic partner characters. The story was still there, and was very good. But I got my fill for this kind of game enough with Super Paper Mario, and I don't see myself ever clamoring for it to come back. Unfortunately, now it's time to talk about that game. You all know what's coming next. Paper Mario Sticker Star for Nintendo 3DS. It's such a shame how this game turned out. I remember seeing the earliest trailers for this game, and I remember actually being excited for it. A new Paper Mario? Hell yeah! An actual 3D world instead of a side-scroller? Yes, please! A portable game at that? Brilliant! And then we saw the game for what it actually is. Before we continue, let's get a few things clear. The following are opinions. Like it or not, everyone is entitled to their own. If you actually like Sticker Star, and yes, there are people that do, good for you. Enjoy it. Don't feel bad for liking it for whatever reason you do. If I say things that contradict your feelings about the game, that doesn't invalidate your feelings or beliefs in any way.
It's really sad that we can't all just play nice and I have to give disclaimers like this, but it's the internet. It'll never change. But anyway, I'll be honest with all of you right now. I have not played Sticker Star myself. I never dropped a dime on this game, nor have I ever had any intention of doing so. My reasoning for this is that in this day and age of the internet, information on just about anything is all at our fingertips. You can learn everything you need to know on just about anything just by Googling it. I've learned everything I have needed to know about this game, and then some, to form the opinion that I don't like what this game offers, and I don't see it worth my money. I've tried to gather a consensus from the majority of the people who own this game, including that of a few close friends of mine whose judgments I trust very much, and I found that from a traditional Paper Mario standpoint, Sticker Star is a complete and utter failure. The story is nowhere near up to the same caliber of any of the previous Paper Mario games, including Super Paper Mario. The combat, while turn-based, is a complete and utter joke thanks to the limited use of stickers functioning as commands with a lack of attainable experience, making battles completely pointless and a waste of limited resources. In addition, the puzzles are so vague and deprived of any real direction or logic that the pace of the game slows to a painful crawl. Party members are still MIA, and apparently Sticker Star took Thousand Year Door's backtracking problem and ran with it. I wouldn't go as far as to say that there is absolutely nothing redeemable about this game, because if there is, I wouldn't know about it unless I play the game and discover those brighter sides myself. The negative aspects of Sticker Star are so heavily emphasized that it's hard to find any concrete agreement on what the game did right that isn't automatically subjective. I did hear a really good case made in Sticker Star's favor in a video made by Lord Jackal. If you haven't played the game either, and are even remotely interested in playing it, please don't take my word for it. Watch some reviews to understand what Sticker Star does wrong, but also watch this video too in order to see what it does right, because I personally feel Lord Jackal made a strong argument and he has an interesting perspective on this issue. And before we go any further with this, allow me to answer the question certain people are probably angrily typing to me right now. How can you judge a game you've never played before? Like I said before, we live in an age where all the information you could ever ask for is at your fingertips. I've done more than enough research on Sticker Star from its release up until now to know what kind of game it is and everything it does wrong according to an overwhelming majority. The reason I value the opinions of others so much in this case is because this game is still being sold for full retail price. How? How can a game that is so critically panned by fans still have the gall to charge top dollar for its mediocre delivery? Probably because Nintendo very rarely does price drops, even on their less than stellar games. See, there's something I think a lot of my viewers here, the younger ones in particular, need to understand. See, when you get older and start making your own income, you have to learn to budget your money. Before you know it, you'll have to be paying for your car, college tuition, college textbooks, monthly rent, water bills, electric bills, internet bills, groceries, gas for your car, and soon enough, you'll have to be on your own insurance. That's a lot to manage, and more importantly, that limits your ability to buy games and pursue other leisurely activities. You won't have enough money to be buying every new game that comes out, even if there's a chance you might not like it. You have to be really picky and really careful about which games you get, especially if you're buying them at full price. If you can find them secondhand or for discounted prices, well, that's a different story. But it's pretty rare to find that for first-party Nintendo games. The point I'm trying to get at here is because mommy and daddy don't just buy games for me anymore, I'm not spending my money on them unless I'm absolutely sure I'm going to like them. I have to research my games and determine what exactly I'm getting into should I decide to invest. I've done everything I can to learn what Sticker Star is about, and I can safely tell you I will most likely not enjoy it, so I will not buy it. It's as simple as that. And you know what the saddest part about Sticker Star is? Allegedly, it wasn't always such a bad game. There is a reason the game looked so promising in its initial reveal, apparently. According to the game's developers, I don't know the accuracy of this, but I'm just going to take a leap of faith and believe it. Their original approach was far more in line with its predecessors, working with the more basic RPG design. but when he played a demo of the game just after E3 2010, Miyamoto rejected the team's design, saying that the Paper Mario prototype was effectively, quote-unquote, just a port of the GameCube version. Now, again, I don't know how much truth there is to this. I don't want to fully blame Miyamoto for everything that went wrong with Sticker Star because I don't know the full story. If he was really only responsible for the lackluster story, and I'd believe that given his opinions on the importance of story in video games, that being it's not important, then that would mean that Intelligent Systems is to blame for the rest of this. If that's the case, then alright, fine. They just wanted to experiment some more. I mean, even though Super Paper Mario's reception wasn't overwhelmingly positive, they probably thought it was okay to try something new once again, since some people liked the change that Super Paper Mario offered. I don't think they could have known ahead of time that Sticker Star would be viewed as negatively as it currently is. But as long as they learn from their mistakes and don't repeat them next time, I'm sure the next Paper Mario game will be fine. Right? Right? Yeah, I thought so too before I saw the recent Nintendo Direct. But there's one more stop we have to make first before we talk about that game. To be honest, I don't even really see the point of talking about this next one because the game is out now and we know what it is. And we know that Mario & Luigi Paper Jam really is not a Paper Mario game. It's a Mario & Luigi game with Paper Mario being the gimmick bitch. The only thing Paper Mario brings to this crossover is the fact that he's Mario, but he's paper, and he has a paper equivalent of Peach and Bowser and Toad and all the familiar Mario faces. That's about it. None of the original characters or worlds are incorporated whatsoever to my knowledge. That's not necessarily a bad thing, I just think that reinforces the idea that this is really just more of a Mario & Luigi game than it is a Paper Mario game, so there's barely a reason for me to be talking about it here in this video at all. I haven't played Paper Jam myself, but I've done my research on it, and I'll say that I'm more willing to try Paper Jam if given the chance over Sticker Star any day. That's because I do like the Mario & Luigi series. Not a whole lot, but it's definitely not bad. Alpha Dream at least knows what they want it to be and what the fans like about it. The only game in this series that I've finished and greatly enjoyed is Bowser's Inside Story, and that was more for what Bowser brought to the game than what the Mario Brothers did. Whether or not I actually do play Paper Jam, at the time of this recording anyway, remains to be seen. I guess the main reason I'm talking about this game is to address my initial impressions on it from my E3 video. I will admit, that video was not my best. The script had its problems, and it was unnecessary for me to go off the beaten path and ramble the way I did when it came to the Paper Jam segment. But I still stand by what I said, even if it's just to a certain extent, and I still stand by my decision to not buy it and support it as a Paper Mario fan. But it seems like people don't really understand what I said, so I guess I have to repeat this. And in case you were wondering, the following part is scripted. If you like Paper Jam, good for you. Like it, love it, enjoy it. But just because my opinion on it is different than yours, that does not mean your opinion is wrong, or that you're wrong for liking it, or that you should feel bad. You should not feel offended just by a different opinion, and if you do, I question your maturity. But as a Paper Mario fan, I have very little interest in this game because it looks like it really is just a Mario & Luigi game. And now that the game is out and people have had enough time with it, from what I've noticed, that seems to be the consensus. It really is a Mario & Luigi game. Like I said earlier, I am willing to try this game as long as I'm going into it with a Mario & Luigi mindset. The biggest flaw from my E3 video was I tried to approach it with a Paper Mario mindset, and that didn't work out. But one thing I think people really need to remember when I criticize new games like this, or when anybody does for that matter, it's that it's not my final opinion on the game. I hate to repeat myself, but apparently I have to, because apparently people don't seem to understand that. I'm a consumer, I'm paying top dollar for these games, so I expect them to be up to a certain level of quality. They don't always have to meet my specific demands. But if I don't see potential for a game to reach that level of quality that I look for, I will criticize it. If I see a glaring issue with the game, I'm not going to just ignore it. I want these developers to succeed. I'm not talking badly about their games just to be mean, or because I hate Nintendo, or whatever some people might think. I just want these developers to put out products that as many consumers will enjoy as possible. But just because I say something negative about a game, that does not mean I'm condemning it or declaring it to be a failure before it even comes out. And if developers don't want to listen to fan feedback, fine. They can make the game however they want. But I reserve the right as a consumer to speak with my wallet and not buy the game. I can choose to not support the title. But I really don't see why that seems to anger people who are looking to buy the game so much. Why does my financial decision have any bearing on how anyone else feels about the game? It shouldn't. I'd like to think that as jumbled up as the Paper Jam segment in my E3 video was, I made it pretty damn clear that I was not planning to support the game by buying it just because it wasn't something that completely appealed to me. But that does not mean I thought the game looked bad or that I felt nobody should want it. Believe it or not, I'm really not that horrible of a person. If you wanted the game, I suggested you buy it and enjoyed it. And I still suggest that. And I assume many of you did just that, which is good. I didn't declare the game to be bad just because it wasn't what I was expecting, as a surprising amount of people seem to assume I did. I thought the game looked fine for what it was, but it just wasn't a game I wanted, so I chose to skip it, and that really won't affect how the game does in the long run unless more people are doing the same thing. Whether or not they did that, I don't know, and I don't care. But I really think this whole, you need to stop judging the game until you play it bullshit needs to stop. If these games were free, I could maybe understand that mentality, but they're not. We're spending our hard-earned money on these games, so I strongly believe we have the right, once again, as consumers, to express our criticism or concern with these games. After all, this is a first impression. If you make a bad one, it's going to leave quite an impact, and it will take quite a lot to change that. It's still possible to change that, it definitely is, but it's going to take a lot of that change. Well, I guess it's that time now. No, it's not time to end the video. Though for the sake of our health and optimism, it probably would be better to just do that, wouldn't it? Nah, I know some of you guys have been waiting for what's coming next. Alright, let's just get on with it.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh my God. I am disgusted.
I don't like like
Cry.
this. No, I don't.
Don't cry.
I don't. You better talk to her before I do, because I'm hurt her feelings. That's up.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that I held off on making this video for so long, because a Nintendo Direct just happened, and the rumors were true. We are in fact getting a new Paper Mario for Wii U. But it sure wasn't what we were expecting, now was it? Paper Mario Color Splash. I really don't know what to say. I'm almost speechless. I can't say this didn't meet my expectations because, first of all, I didn't think the rumor was true. I didn't think the game was happening, so I went into this Direct with very low expectations. And it's kind of hard to feel betrayed when I wasn't even expecting much of anything. But this, wow. I really don't know what to say. I really didn't think even Nintendo could be this blind. I really thought for sure that there was no way Nintendo and Intelligent Systems didn't see how much people hated Sticker Star. I really thought things were going to be different this time around. But I guess I was wrong. Maybe. Despite what I said in the Paper Jam segment, I am trying so goddamn hard not to judge this game based on what they showed us, because they barely showed us anything at all. But from what I saw, and from what I think a lot of people saw, not only is this series still not going back to being an RPG like we've been begging for it to do since 2007, but even worse, it's taking inspiration from Sticker Star. And that was a worst case scenario for so many of us. I don't even know how people can try and deny that this is essentially Sticker Star 2 from what we've seen. It has the same map traversal. It has the same gimmicky combat with cards instead of stickers that let you do what should be essential, limitless commands like using Mario's hammer. That goddamn fan is back. This bucket partner is probably nothing more than this game's equivalent of Kirsty from Sticker Star. And from a slight bit of new gameplay shown in the Direct in other territories, you don't get experience from battles. Just coins. Just like in Sticker Star. I really don't know what Nintendo is even trying to accomplish with this game. I mean, what the fuck is going on over at Intelligent Systems? I really want to know. Okay, with Sticker Star, you guys tried something new because that didn't totally suck with Super Paper Mario. Fair enough. And you guys must have really thought you had a winner with this new formula. Okay, sure. But I think the majority of us can agree that that formula did not work out the way they wanted it to. So why in God's name are you doing it again, Intelligent Systems? Why? Why are you just blatantly ignoring the overwhelming criticism that Sticker Star got? This isn't even just about them ignoring the old RPG style anymore. This is questioning the logic and thought process behind the decisions being made here by the people over at Intelligent Systems. I'm frankly pissed off that they're just blindly churning out more of exactly what we didn't want. I just don't understand how Intelligent Systems can do so much right with Fire Emblem and appeal to so many people, and then proceed to completely fuck everything up twice with Paper Mario. I don't understand how that's possible. Okay, let's say that they figured Sticker Star sold well enough that it built up a new audience, and it's one that Intelligent Systems is trying to appeal to with Color Splash. Let's just take that theory and roll with it for a little while. So they've got this new audience that probably really enjoyed Sticker Star for what it was. Maybe they didn't play the older games, so unlike most people, they weren't upset about the changes. They didn't even know there were changes. I definitely think that's possible. And now Intelligent Systems is trying to appeal to that audience with this new game. I think that's a fair strategy, assuming this theory holds any water at all. But if that's what's really going on here, then I have another question to ask rhetorically. Intelligent Systems, why do you have to completely shut out the older Paper Mario fans for the sake of the new ones? If you don't want to make Paper Mario back into a full-on RPG, fine. But why then can't you incorporate RPG elements into this new formula? Instead of giving us coins for winning a battle, give us experience points with the potential to level up. If those cards we saw are really the only means of attacking enemies, then make it so that when Mario levels up, his deck of cards increases, or some other benefit happens, so players can feel a sense of progression, and battles won't feel completely pointless again. Give us interesting party members who could have their own deck of card abilities, or give them some kind of painting equivalent to Mario's hammer. Give us a Bob-omb party member that explodes into a blast of color, or a Koopa Troopa partner that leaves a trail of paint behind as his or her shell moves along the ground. You got anything like that for us, Intelligent Systems? Anything at all? The point I'm trying to get at here is compromise. If you don't want to give us older Paper Mario fans a full-on RPG game, fine. But I think if you incorporated some of those elements into your new formula, you'd be pleasing a lot more people than you currently are with this game. I mean, you're already doing it with Fire Emblem. You've got games that appeal to the older fans, and it has mechanics that appeal to the new ones at the same time, who just got into the series through Awakening. There's a sense of compromise with how the games are currently designed, and nobody is feeling screwed over. So why can't Paper Mario be more like that? I'm losing faith more and more with every new appearance that Paper Mario makes of this series ever going back to its roots. If this series had started off with Super Paper Mario or even Sticker Star instead of being an RPG like the first two games actually were, that would be one thing. Maybe I wouldn't feel so bitter in that case. But it's the fact that this series started off with such a drastically different gameplay formula, one that I personally found to be brilliant and worked so well. That makes it really hard for me to just accept that it might never come back when there was no legitimate reason for it to be dropped in the first place. I just don't understand why the people at Intelligent Systems feel they have to completely ignore the older Paper Mario fans that still want to support this series but just don't agree with the direction it is headed. And If Intelligent Systems isn't totally at fault here and Miyamoto is to blame, then I just don't understand his thought process. I don't understand how he can see very clearly how much people disagree with his approach, and yet he continues to pursue it and just completely ignore us and treat us as if our opinions, our voices don't matter. That is insulting to us. I didn't totally hate Super Paper Mario, so I am willing to accept a certain degree of change for this series. Not so much to the degree of Sticker Star, since I couldn't even bring myself to try that game, but I think Intelligent Systems could stand to be more open to some compromise here. Now comes the part of the video where I'm sure people are going to complain that I'm pulling the same stunt as my E3 video and I'm coming off really petty and negative, and that I'm not giving Color Splash a fair chance, and that I can't judge it even though this is by no means my final say on the game. I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand that this is just my initial impression and that it's definitely subject to change, but whatever. But the thing is, I'm not done here yet. I've had my little rant. The salty Paper Mario fans should realize by now that I'm still very much in agreement with their anger over this game. But you guys want me to be fair? You really want me to be optimistic and give the game more of a chance and quit judging it? Okay, fine. I do like the graphical style of the game. I like how all the buildings and floors look like they were handcrafted out of cardboard and construction paper. I get a very Yoshi's Woolly World vibe from this level design, and that's great because that was one of my favorite aspects of that game. I think it suits Paper Mario very well, and it looks very crisp and clean in HD. I don't like to judge games based on graphics, but still, if it works in this particular game's favor, I see no harm in praising it. If I'm going to play devil's advocate here, perhaps there is a lot more to this game than what we just saw. Even if this game takes inspiration from Sticker Star, there's no reason to believe just yet that the formula isn't getting tweaked and that Intelligent Systems isn't attempting to make it better. Maybe the next time we see this game, it'll be drastically different, and there'll be so much more to it. After all, Super Mario 3D World sure didn't wow me when it was first shown off, but by the time the second trailer came out, I was impressed. I played it, and it went on to become one of the most fun Mario games I've ever played. If I'm playing the optimistic, there is a chance that Color Splash could do the same thing. It's been such a long time since I've played a Paper Mario game. I haven't touched the series since 2007 with Super Paper Mario, and I've been thirsty for a new game in this series. So thirsty, in fact, that despite all the negative things I've just said about Color Splash, I might actually try this game. Crazy, I know. If this game comes back to us in the future and shows us that a lot has changed from Sticker Star and the first teaser we just got, I just might be willing to give it a chance. After all, even though I don't think that highly of Intelligent Systems or Miyamoto at the moment after this initial move, they might very well have a reason for pushing this new formula on us so much. And at the moment, there's no reason for us to believe that they aren't trying to give us some sort of compromise this time. Maybe I was onto something and we will see experience points or partners or something later down the road. It's a stretch, but hey, give me some credit for at least trying to put a positive spin on all this, despite everything I've just said. Or maybe we won't see any significant changes. The game is slated to release this year, so maybe what we have seen of it now is very close to the final product. There's no way for us to be certain. All I know is, if the Paper Mario series really is so hell-bent on going in this new direction indefinitely, then it might just be time for me to either give it a try or drop this series altogether. I hate to make this so climactic, but at this point, I feel like Color Splash is either going to make or break the future of this franchise for me. I am so tired of waiting for this series to get back to its RPG roots. If I can't find my own enjoyment in this new style of Paper Mario games, then it might be time for me, and perhaps others as well, to move on, and accept that we may never get another Paper Mario RPG again. Again, I really don't mean to sound so dramatic with this, but when you love a video game series very passionately, then have to watch as it changes more and more into something you really don't like, it hurts. It really does. I feel like I'm being forced to either accept this change in direction or abandon this series. So rest assured, I'm going to be keeping a close watch on Paper Mario Color Splash. I'll see what it does, what it offers, and what changes about it, if anything, from the initial footage here to any additional material we receive in the future prior to the game's release. If I think the game has enough promise to be better than Sticker Star, or even become its own original quality entry, I'll try it for myself. I'll take the risk and drop the money on it. But if not, I'm probably going to give up hope for this franchise to ever go back to what it once was. For the sake of being optimistic, let's hope it doesn't come to that. This has been Brawmaster012, signing off.